Hey guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel and another episode. I almost said episode. What? Hey guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel and another day of Vlogmas. Is that annoying? Like, does that get annoying that I'm just repeating it every video? God, I hope not, because I think I'm on like day 7 now. That's how I'll start it. Every video like that, right? Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how I made 2 different kind of Christmas shadow boxes using Dollar Tree supplies. So the first one I actually made as a gift for my friend Erika. I'll have the video linked below of her unboxing it along with all the other Christmas stuff we did in our swap. If you guys have been up to date on Vlogmas, you already saw that video, but if not, I have it linked below. The other shadow box I'm going to be showing you guys is probably my favorite one, and I came up with this idea a little bit later on, and it's how I made this little gingerbread Mickey mini shadow box. It's super cute. Both of these are really easy and mostly Dollar Tree supplies, so without any more chit chat, let's jump into the tutorial.
So the first shadow box I actually made for my friend Erika for Christmas, and I just found this little white gather shadow box. They have a bunch of different types of these, and to be honest, the middle insert doesn't really matter because I'm going to not be using it. So I'm going to just pop it off after popping the back out of the frame. Do be careful because I didn't realize that the little hook on the back was actually inserted with screws. So you can use a little screwdriver just to be a little more careful. Now originally I thought I was going to peel off the paper on here, but realizing that I was going to Mod Podge fabric on, I just didn't really need to. It's kind of an unnecessary step because you won't be able to tell in the end. So I am just using this green Mickey and the Gang fabric that I got at Joann's, and I am trying to pick the best spot to where you're really going to be able to see Mickey and Minnie because those are Erika's favorites. So I am just tracing my backing of the shadow box onto the fabric, and then I'm going to cut this out. Once I have it all cut out, I'm going to kind of size it, make sure it fits really well in the frame, and then again I'm just kind of using that middle insert as a spacing to make sure that I'm not covering up Mickey and Minnie. I'm going to use some Dollar Tree Mod Podge and just spread that all over the back. It doesn't really matter if it's glossy or matte, it'll work the same. And then once you have a pretty good, nice thick layer on, you're going to take your fabric and press it down on to the back. You want this to have a really good adherence to the back because obviously you don't want it peeling up. My fabric is just a tiny bit larger than this actual frame, and that again is just going to help it stay in place and not peel up later on. I'm also going to apply what's left of the Mod Podge that's inside my little sponge brush onto the top of this. It's just going to give it a nice kind of like coating on the top. It's going to make it seem a little bit more firm and again longer lasting. Then I'm going to pop this into the frame. I don't glue it into the frame, but if you're worried about it breaking off, you always could. And then I am going to trim off just a little bit of this excess because I just had a smidge too much sticking out of the frame. And because this is going to someone else, I wanted to make sure that it had a nice finished edge. So I am just popping that into place. And next you're going to see me go through 50 different options of what to put in the middle. So you could put that little gather sign back in the center. You could even shift it down to the bottom to see more of the characters if you wanted to. I also have these little galvanized words, again from Dollar Tree. And you could hot glue these or use some E6000 to glue them in place. I actually think the Joy one is a pretty good size for the size of this shadow box, but I just wasn't completely in love with it. I thought this is what I was going to end up doing, but I'm going to show you guys some other ideas that kind of occurred to me just using stuff in my crafting stash. So I have these little kind of Scrabble looking tiles. These are actually from Hobby Lobby, and I thought about spelling out the word joy. I also spelled out the words merry and bright and kind of just played around with different options, but I left this footage in because I wanted you guys to see just how many choices you have when making one of these little shadow boxes. You can really customize it if you have the right amount of letters. You could also spell out the family's last name or your friend's name or something like that. Some other options would be if you have a die cut machine, you could cut something out. You can also use stickers from the Dollar Tree. I really just want to give you guys tons of options. So you can see me literally tapping my finger because I am being so indecisive. And yet another option that I kind of evaluated was these little wood cutout letters, also from Dollar Tree. And again, just using the word joy and trying out a bunch of different choices. Now, I love these little letters. They're easy to paint. They're super cute to craft with. They're a nice font. But the one thing I will say is that if you want to spell out a word that has repeating letters, you have to get more than one pack because you only get one of each letter in these little packs. Now, my final decision was to go with these little ornaments I picked up at Walmart. It comes with a 6-pack, and I believe it was only $2 or $3. And then I have this little chalkboard tag that I got from Dollar Tree. So I'm going to take one of the ornaments, and I took the one that just says Merry Christmas, I believe, and I just tied it through the hole of the little chalkboard tag. I thought that this gave it a nice neutral quality, seeing as how the fabric is a little bit brighter. And now I'm just going to hot glue one of these little Dollar Tree cubes down. I love these cubes, guys. Like, I use them so much, especially when I'm doing shadow boxes. I'm going to hot glue down the tag onto the other tag, and then I'm going to hot glue down the string in the back just to make sure that it stays in place. And then I'm going to snip off the bottom of it so that we can't see it. This little cube is going to create that 3D shadow box effect. I'm just going to glue this down in place and then glue the tag on top. Again, you don't really have to do this. You could probably find something else or even pop off the back of the original tag and use that. But because I make so many crafts, these cubes are just so worth having on hand. But that pretty much is it for this shadow box. It's a super simple, sweet craft. I think most people would just be in love with having this in their home, and there's so many options to make it personalized. Now moving on to the second shadow box. I found this after I had made Erika's. This is a much larger shadow box. I showed this in a Dollar Tree haul on my channel. And you could leave this as is. I actually think it's really cute, especially if you have like a space theme room for your kids or something. I also think that you could make this look kind of like Buzz Lightyear or the aliens, but I will be repurposing this for a Christmas shadow box. So following very similar steps as before, I am popping out the back. I removed that little 3D piece and I am not peeling off anything. I'm just going to go straight to covering the back. But before I do that, I did sand down the back of the shadow box because some of the backing got ripped off and left on it. So I'm just using some 150 grit sandpaper and lightly sanding off the edges. And then that part where the rocket ship ripped off, I'm just kind of smoothing out the edges so that it doesn't poke out, because this time around I am not Mod Podging fabric on, but in fact I will be doing some scrapbook paper that I picked up from Hobby Lobby. Now, Hobby Lobby scrapbook paper is a great deal. You get 4 sheets of it for $1. I picked up this classic Christmas plaid, and I'm just tracing my backing onto it, and then I'm going to cut that out and apply some Dollar Tree Mod Podge and Mod Podge it on very similarly to how I did the fabric. The only difference is that with the paper, I don't choose to go on top of the paper with Mod Podge. I only do the back. I had to retrace it because I couldn't see my original marker line, so I went back in with a Sharpie and tried again. I just use my hand to make sure that I smooth out the paper and that there are no bubbles. A good trick is to start from the center and then slowly press your hand toward the edges. And then I'm just reinserting the back into my frame. I did have to figure out which side was the top because I did not keep track of that. And then I'm just kind of having to work it back inside. Again, you could glue it back in, but I didn't feel the need to. And then I will be using this little dollar ornament that I picked up in the dollar section at Target. It is so cute. It just says Mrs. Claus's Bakery on it. I'm sorry, I forgot to refocus my camera here, but I'm just removing the string from it, and then I'm going to use that same little wooden cube from Dollar Tree in order to put this in there and make it 3D. I am showing you guys this little gingerbread button because it'd be a cute way to cover up the hole on the top. These are just from Hobby Lobby. Now I cut out these little Mickey cookies, and I'm going to show you guys how I made them and, you know, inserted them and everything and painted them. Don't worry, I'm going to paint them to look like little gingerbread men, but I'm just kind of sizing out where to place this little wooden cube, and I'm hot gluing it down into the center of the shadow box toward the top, and then I'm going to hot glue this little name sign on top. And then what I decided to do to cover up that little hole on the top is I picked up these Christmas Disney stickers from Daiso, and they had a little Minnie Mouse in a Santa hat, and I thought that that was so cute because it's like Mrs. Claus is Minnie Mouse, so I'm going to go with that. On to making the actual little fake gingerbread cookies. So I'm going to be using just Crayola magic mold in white, and I took out a piece pretty large. I would say you need a piece like a ball around the size of a softball. Mine's a little bit small actually. And then I roll it into a ball, and then I just took a water bottle that I had on hand and I used it as a rolling pin because I don't have a rolling pin. And then using these little Mickey cookie cutters that I got off Amazon, you get a pack of 5 for about $5.50. I will link these in the description box below if you guys need to purchase them. I cut a bunch of different sizes, but the second largest and the third largest were the ones that I ended up using inside my shadow box. So something I will tell you guys, if you want to cut a bunch of them just to try them out, you want to roll out as much of the clay as you can ahead of time. That way they're all around the same thickness. Now I cut a bunch of these because I have more crafts coming out with these, or I've already posted them. I'm not really sure when this video goes up. Sorry. I probably have already posted other crafts using these cookie cutters as well as this magic mold technique of making little fake cookies. Now, after I've got these all cut out, I do give them 72 hours to dry. Now, it says online that they can be dry in 24 hours, but I read further and it said that for them to be 100% fully dry, they can't really be ruined as easily. You need to wait 72 hours. So I did, and then I went into painting them. Now, moving on to painting the actual cookies, I'll be using this apple barrel acrylic paint in classic caramel. I did this a couple different times. I did it with just this color, and then another time I mixed in a little bit of a darker brown. I think it's just personal preference for what you want the cookies to look like, but I did use, after letting these dry for about 3 days, I just did 2 coats of this brown paint, and then I gave it about an hour to dry, and then I went in with my puffy paint to decorate it. This is 2 coats of that brown paint, and now I'm going to be using white puffy paint for icing around the edges first. Now, I would suggest not going in the order I did because I started on the outside and then painted toward the inside, which logic would say is not the best method. You should probably do the face first and then do the edges. Learn from my mistakes, guys. But I'm just taking that white and I'm going all the way around the edge. Definitely take your time with this, and if you can kind of stand up while you do it, you'll have a better vantage point just to make sure that your icing looks nice and even. But that being said, guys, cookies are never perfect, so it kind of looks more like a real cookie when it has little imperfections. And then I'm doing the same thing on a second cookie. These are actually ones that I'm using for a different craft, if you guys want to stay tuned for that. That's why they're not really the sizes that are going to go in the shadow box, but it just seemed pointless to me to film the exact same thing twice. After doing the edging, I moved on to the face. Again, I would actually do this first. I did do this first the second time I did it. But using just some brown puffy paint, I'm drawing little eyes that are kind of like long, skinny ovals. And I'm also going to do a nose and a mouth. I'm so sorry I'm going in a weird order, but I actually decided to go back to the white, and I did this little swirly kind of design on the ear just to make it look a little more like a frosted cookie. and I did this to all 4 of these sizes, but again, these are for another craft coming out, or that's already out, because it's Vlogmas and I don't know what order I'm posting in. I'm so sorry, guys. And then going back to the brown color, this is when I'm going to draw in the little smiley faces. And then the last color I'm using of puffy paint is red, because I wanted to give little red, kind of like rosy cheeks on the ends of the smiles. And that's it for the painting. I let these dry for about 24 hours before going in and attaching them to my shadow box. Now again, to attach these, I wanted them to have a 3D effect, so I'm using 2 more of those little Dollar Tree cubes. I told you guys I love them. They come in handy all the time. And I'm just going to do the same method of hot gluing these down where I want the cookies to be. I do like to hot glue these into place first, because you can always adjust the cookie on the cube. So if the cube's a little bit off center of where you want it, you can always just adjust the thing that you're gluing on top of it. I hope that makes sense. And then I'm just applying a little bit of hot glue on top, and then gently placing my cookies down on top of the cubes. And that is the final step for this little Mrs. Claus's Bakery Mickey gingerbread cookie shadow box. And that pretty much does it for this tutorial. Please leave me a comment below which shadow box do you think you're going to try, or are you going to try both of them? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for my next video of Vlogmas.